Welcome back. You're listening to Get Real with Bob and Stacey, and you're joining us for our Leaders and Legends segment. Our guest for this segment is William Seagraves, author, serial entrepreneur, and business coach. Welcome to the show, Bill.
Welcome, thank you, Bob, and thank you, Stacey. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
So let me give just a little bit of background, then I'm going to have Bill delve in a little deeper. Bill Seagraves knows how to turn business ownership dreams into reality with more than 20 years of experience as an entrepreneur and business funding expert. Bill has been the voice of reason, leading thousands of aspiring small business owners to successful self-sufficiency, specifically with a very popular book he wrote, which is Be Your Best Boss. First, Bill, can you give us a little history of, let's start at 1984 when your career started and where it's led up to today?
Sure. Whatever that's been, more than 30 years ago. Engineering student, graduated, always loved to tinker with things and build things. My first career was as a test engineer on military vehicles, working for a defense contractor out of California. Really the best of all jobs for a young engineer, because it was all hands-on. I was in the field, getting to almost play with, if that's the word you want to think about, with the military vehicles. So I got a hands-on experience with those.
What's the coolest vehicle you got to drive?
Marine Corps landing vehicle, so a armored tracked vehicle, like they call them LVPT-7s. So the Marines would launch off the ships, float like boats to the shore, and then come ashore and complete their mission through that. So very neat vehicle in that it both was amphibious and land-based.
That's pretty cool.
It is. So that experience led to dealing with some aspects of the vehicle, survivability aspects that kind of you can think of the stealth programs related to military vehicles or to military aircraft, and I was focused on the military vehicles, applying some of those technologies. Very quickly progressed up through the hierarchy of the corporate world. Started as employee number 7,001 in 1984. By the time maybe 1992, 93 was like maybe employee number 14 within that organization. Product manager, large contract responsibilities, staffing, and all of that stuff was part of the deal. But fast forward to 1995, life decisions. I'd grown up in the Rocky Mountain areas and wanted to get back to the Rocky Mountains. So I walked in one day, resigned. I had the benefit, my wife was working for a technology company, and they had offices in the Denver, Colorado area. So she transferred, and I had the opportunity to self-evaluate. What do I want to do next in life? And decided business ownership was the next step.
Wow.
That's cool.
That is a long history of kind of moving forward, building not only your life, but also moving towards entrepreneurship. What inspired you to write Be Your Best Boss?
Well, over the course of the last 20 years, I've run several businesses, 4 in total. Over the last 12 years, the business has been focused on assisting people with the startup funding they need to launch their businesses. I have the opportunity to chat with 6 to 8 folks every day, it seems like. So thousands and thousands of folks I've had phone calls with or met in person. It's all about the discussion of their dreams and aspirations, where they've been in their careers, where they want to go. Certainly the conversations are focused about the business funding, but there's the inherent, why did you want to do this? What's driving you to make these decisions? What fears are you having to face as part of these decisions? And the book was really a compilation of many of those stories, and many of whether it's my experiences as an entrepreneur or the experiences and lessons learned that I got from watching my clients, what challenges they faced and what successes they had.
Wow. So for anyone listening, what advice do you have for somebody that is thinking about becoming an entrepreneur? How do they know if they're ready?
Well, the decision to at least consider entrepreneurship is certainly a matter of self-reflection. The purpose of the book is to debunk some of the myths. People really think about business ownership, and there's lots of fears, and people are, without any hesitation, you don't want to be in business. It's too risky. You're not going to be successful. You don't have the talents to be a business owner. And I truly believe that through some number of careers in an employed situation, whether you've been employed for 5, 10, 15, or 20 years, your employers set you up at some level for success as a business owner because they've provided you with on-the-job training. It could be people management, financial management, project planning, and execution skills. All of those are directly attributable to successful business ownership.
Okay. Now, I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out as far as your business goes, if it's more like, do you get a lot of millennials or is it older people that are going into entrepreneurship? And do you ever have people say, well, I'm too old to be an entrepreneur?
Well, my business attracts that mid-career individual, so somebody who has been employed. So it's not typically the millennial that's looking to do a technology startup.
Yep.
And having startup as their career, that's not who I tend to attract. It is somebody who has life experiences and a career background and are now really looking to make a pivot in their career. One of and it's a reasonably substantial subset of my audience. It's the people that have successfully transitioned to retirement. They completed those requirements and have elected to step away, but they're still inspired. So I call them retired and inspired, and they're looking to stay in the game at some level and do so through business ownership.
Yes, I was just trying to Google. Wasn't Colonel Sanders like 80 when he started?
He was late in his 60s, I think.
I don't know.
Yeah. And Ray Kroc. There's been some very famous entrepreneurs that were rather late to the game from an age perspective.
Yeah.
But one of the advantages of being an entrepreneur is you can really structure your business owner experience to meet whatever you need to do. And one of the reasons people go into business ownership at late in life is gives them the flexibility and the lifestyle so they can kind of tailor their experience to what they want to do. Yes.
So what are some potential red flags that often go ignored when a potential business owner decides to buy a business?
There's a couple of them. If somebody's looking to buy an existing business, there's a lot of critical questions that need to be asked about the reasons why the business is on the market and then the suitability of that business for the potential buyer. So there's lots of questions and a very specific diligence process that people should go through to evaluate the financial standing, confirm all of the assumptions, if that's what you want to call them. The seller is trying to, put polish on the business to the best of their ability to make it look as attractive as possible for a potential buyer. The buyer needs to, be able to look through all of that and be able to confirm all of the certain aspects. And one of the key aspects is what is the day-to-day experience for the owner. As people look at businesses, I find that one of the critical mistakes is looking at a business and looking at the product or a service and kind of saying, well, I think that's a sexy deal. They a bit of prestige, or they evaluate what's the potential prestige that'll come out of running this business or that business.
Right.
And many people will buy or get into the wrong business due to that. And I coach people that really you need to evaluate what's the day-to-day experience of the owner going to be and how does that meet what you want to be. Do you need flexibility? Do you want it to be a B2B experience? Do you want it 9 to 5, 5 days a week, or are you looking for a manage-the-manager experience? All of those different aspects are critical to somebody's success.
Interesting. Let's talk about self-directed 401ks and why don't more people utilize them to start a business?
Well, I do believe it's being used more and more, and it has to, at some level, do with just awareness. One of the myths of retirement dollars is those dollars are untouchable, and the only place to put them to work for you is through Wall Street type investments. Mm-hmm. That's certainly a perception that the large financial services companies want you to have. But in the context of the availability of those dollars to be directed back as an investment in the company that employs you, that's the context. So it's like are advising people on how the program works. I always have them take a step back. Many people that's been employed by large corporate America participated in those employer 401k plans, invested in their company. So example, if you work for Apple Computer, participating in the Apple Computer 401k plan, you can invest in Apple Computer stock. Or if you work for Coca-Cola 401k plan, invest in Coca-Cola stock. When people get their head wrapped around, oh yeah, as an employee, I can invest in my business. And from a corporate perspective, having the captured employee group invested in the business, it goes towards motivation, and so it's a two-way street. And my clients, being really on both sides, they are the owner-operator of the business, but they're also employee number one, and being able to direct their retirement dollars as an investment is a very beneficial thing.
Interesting. All right, talking about entrepreneurship, oftentimes I think people don't make the big leap because there are so many fears, there's so much unknown. Do you have any ideas or solutions on how entrepreneurs can manage their fears while moving forward towards entrepreneurship?
Well, probably the number one deal is you don't have to do it alone.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of different sources for advisement and mentoring, those types of things. So early phase, just making the decision of going into business ownership and how do you choose the right business. There's certainly consultants that will help people through that process, specifically in the franchise world. There's more than 5,000 franchises in the U.S. Today that somebody could choose from. And if you started to go through and evaluate each one of those, that would be a daunting task. But being able to filter those down and funnel out so that 5 or 6 fall out for you to compare and be looking at some very different types of businesses. So there's very different types of owner experiences, and being able to compare each of those and pick and choose what are the aspects of business ownership that you want to do. That helps you funnel down very quickly to businesses that would work for you.
Now, is there a particular subset of businesses that are more popular among people that are going into entrepreneurship later on in life? Are they, by and large, doing the franchises, or are they starting their own, like based on what they used to do in their previous careers?
Well, my audience, it's the business sectors are all across the board. We help folks that are going to do rather simple service-based businesses, all the way up to folks that are doing sophisticated commercial building or even farming operations.
Really?
And lots of stuff in between bed and breakfasts and hotels and campgrounds. And one of my more unique clients is doing the bed and breakfast type concept, but the delivery of the experiences in a treehouse situation.
Can you say where that is? What part of the country?
It's in the Carolinas. I don't remember exactly what town it was in.
Okay.
Oh, good. So if anybody that's listening wants to take a vacation in a treehouse, you don't have to go that far to do it. As soon as you said it, I was immediately interested in it. That sounds cool.
So back to your question of where do people go? Franchising is about half of our clients are going into franchising. And the reason they're choosing franchising is late career individuals or later career individuals. Their time frame is somewhat abbreviated. They're not looking to be in business for the next 25 or 30 years. Most of them have a business horizon that typically 5 years on the short end, 10 years is the median, and I would say 15 years on the far end. And so in that context, they don't want to go through the brain damage of trying to find a product, develop that product, refine all the ways to market that product. So the franchise process allows them to step in with an existing product, existing processes, and begin to execute quicker.
Oh, seems reasonable.
And they're doing it, and the last benefit for the franchise folks is they're not having to do it alone. If you're doing a startup, it certainly could be a team that you build, and that would help. But part of the challenges of being a business owner at some level is you get the independence, but with independence could come loneliness, feeling isolated, and the franchise solution mitigates that at some level. You're an independent business owner, but you're within a community of like-minded folks with a common goal of executing whatever that brand is.
Excellent. And where can people get your book, Bill?
The book's available in all of the normal book resources, whether it's online or through the brick-and-mortar bookstores. YourBestBoss.com is the book's website. It's available through that website also.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Bob and Stacey. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been great.
So that's going to do it for this segment of Get Real with Bob and Stacey. Tune in again next week and we'll be back with more.